So the next bunch of settings I'm going to share with you are the high, mid and low toms. And this is the basic setting that you use for all three. And then we slightly manipulate that in the DAW to create the three different toms. Now that we've got that mapped onto the Gen X-1, let's have a listen to it in its rawest form. What I ended up doing to make this high tom was to record this setting externally, i.e. with an external microphone rather than plugged into the DAW, and the reason I did that was that I actually wanted to capture the clicky sound at the top of the sound. But I needed to extract this click sound using a few settings. I added some pitch shifter, then some EQ, and some space designer using the 0.8 snare long. And this was the basis of the tom sound that I used across the toms. And then what I did was I created a second track and I EQ'd it quite differently and added pitch shifter. And then for the third part of the sound, I got setting 4 from the kick drum that I created in the first tutorial and I altered it slightly. Then I added this rather strange EQ and some blends of pitch shifters to create this sort of explosive high-pitched sound. Many drum sounds actually need not only a bass and a body part, but they also need some sort of noise or crackle at the top, and so that's what I did for this tom. I needed to create two parts to the sound. In this case, 3 parts, but using 2 distinct elements, and altogether we have this. So you have the click sound from the externally recorded tom, and the boom sound from the kick drum. I also added a 1.8 drum plate reverb. Now for the mid tom I did something very similar to the high tom. I once again created the setting 6 tom bass and recorded it externally and added EQ and reverb. But then for the second layer I created the kick from setting 4 and I tuned it slightly differently. Then I altered the pitch within the Gen X-1 using the LFO depth and the pitch knob at the back. I recorded the tom bass internally rather than externally as before, and it gave me an entirely different sound. I simply used that as it was, and I added a little bit of reverb. For the third layer, I once again used the setting 4 kick drum, but I tuned it slightly differently. For the low tom, I once again worked in a very similar way to on the high tom. I recorded setting 6 externally and added EQ, reverb, and pitch shifter. For layer 2, as with the mid-tom, I recorded setting 6 internally with some reverb and pitched it down 1 octave using the flex pitch tool in the DAW. For layer 3, I once again used the kick setting, however I added quite a lot more reverb and pitched it even lower using the Gen X-1 LFO depth and pitch knobs. I hope you've enjoyed watching me create toms on the Stylophone Gen X-1. If you did, do remember to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already by clicking in the corner over here, and do join me next time to learn about cymbals.